Hello. I would like to talk, or rather tell you about certain suspicions, hunches and experiences I've had, and I'm sure some of you as well. Similar themes have been written about across image boards quite a few times, so I know I'm not alone in this. My background is that of an old fag. I've seen it all. I started going on 4chan in 2006, and followed all the natural roads this implies. I'm in my 30s and I remember when 4chan had a /l/ board, when /co/ was a trial board shunned by basically everyone, when number 34 porn was an obscure interest with very few good artists, and when Moot changed the front page to that Web 2.0 bullshit 4chan has to this very day. I was also among the first right-wingers who were such before it was cool, and I've seen /pol/ rise and fall. I was there when it mattered, but rather than saying these things out of masturbatory pleasure, I wish to stress that I've acquired a set of observational skills which other genuine old fags share. I'm aware you have no reason to trust my credentials, but I hope you'll read this in good faith. Much of this falls squarely in the fringe territory with a healthy dosage of /x/ and conspiracy theory up the ass. My goal by posting this seemingly jumbled mess is to, how can I put it? I want you to think, I want you to be aware, to digest all this. Because on a basic level I love you all. I feel like we're all in this together, this dangerous game we did not choose to play and which I think is kicking into high gear. I do not hold many answers and don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, but I am aware there is a puzzle. Please feel free to go wild with all of this. Post it wherever you want, on whatever site you want or use. I am a nobody like you, and what matters to me is only that this reaches you and as many people as possible. At worst you'll be entertained or kill time. I tried to break this mess into points for brevity and because I touch upon many subjects. I imply more than I explain because if I go too deep this'll turn into an even bigger wall of text. The internet feels empty and devoid of people. It is also devoid of content. Compared to the internet of say 2007, and beyond, the internet of today is entirely sterile. There is nowhere to go and nothing to do, see, read or experience anymore. It all imploded into a handful of normal fag sites and these empty husks we inhabit. Yes, the internet may seem gigantic, but it's like a hot air balloon with nothing inside. Some of this is absolutely the fault of corporations and government entities. However, that doesn't explain the following. I used to be in perpetual contact with a solid number of people across multiple sites. Across the years each and every one of them vanished without a trace. None of them were into /pol/ stuff or anything even remotely questionable or controversial. Yet, they all simply vanished in a puff of smoke, no matter the site, no matter the communication platform. There was no goodbye or explanation. I've seen the same threads, the same pics and the same replies reposted over and over across the years to the point of me seeing it as unremarkable. Simply put, thread A would be posted in say 2015 and would get its share of replies or pics, on say /co/ or /a/. Then that very same thread, with the same text, pics, and replies would appear in 2016 and beyond. This often happens in the same year multiple times as well. Of course /pol/ is getting shilled and bot posted to death, but why recycle a completely innocent /a/ thread? Who is doing this and why? Stuff like this won't be noticed by your average poster perhaps, but I and other old fags will inevitably notice it. I think I saw the same happen on other, non-image board, sites, but I can't vouch for it as strongly as the above because of the time I spend there, not much. What I do vouch for is the news. I've seen news about this or that new and unusual or shocking event year after year after year. But it's the same goddamn event, usually moons or asteroids. Roughly in 2016 or early 2017 4chan was filled with posts by someone or something. It wasn't spam. The conversations with it were in real time, across multiple boards and multiple threads simultaneously. Its English was grammatically correct but odd. I'm not a native English speaker and am thus sensitive to its misuse, similar to how a Japanese person may use it. A sense of childlike curiosity and a childlike intellect emanated from these posts. It posed a lot of questions, usually as if trying to understand the emotions of the posters it was talking to, as if unfamiliar with human emotions. Communicating with this poster was an odd experience. I could sense something was off but not malicious. I am absolutely certain this was an AI of some sorts. This poster was active only for about a week, and as far as I know nobody has ever mentioned or noticed this anon. Its replies were always on topic, but the above-mentioned childishness clashed with the apparent knowledge it possessed. It was the knowledge of an adult person, so it wasn't a kid or something of the sort. Raptor Jesus, who went extinct for our sins. First it was this reptilian messiah, then foul bachelor frog, and then Pepe. Am I the only one who sees a clear evolution, a link? It's as if this meme or entity or Whatever the fuck was on 4chan since day one, and has grown within it from the tiniest seed. Yet Raptor Jesus was fully just a joke, there was nothing serious or mystical about it. Reminder, I was there. Remember that TED guy with the right-wing talk show, CCA prior to 2010, whom 4chan ruined for the lulz? Remember Anonymous vs Scientology? Remember that fake bomb thread aka exploding yellow van? Compare that with what Anon did through /Paul/ and the terrorist accusations thrown at Anon today, as well as the reasons why 8chan was taken down. Why does this too feel as if we were all trained, groomed, led towards where we are now? Why and how did Moot so utterly vanish into Google Incorporated as an employee with very vague descriptions of what he actually does? On that note, do you remember the other Moot who was often posted for the lulz? The one with the glasses who so often ran away with donations into Mexico? I do. Maybe that was the real Moot, the real guy who used his mom's credit card and was killed by someone. And an imposter we know this Moot took his place. Innocent sexual perversion and the horrible reality it spawned. Anon is a pervert and always was one. I am into lolly and feet for instance. Why is it that real life and the real world seem to emulate our sexual interests, with a time lag? I wish to be the little succubus became an actual thing that actually happens. Pedo activism is also gradually becoming accepted, as is virtually every fetish that was once either a joke or a fantasy of anons. As said, I'm a foot fag. When I became aware of it, few others were with me. Now it's as common as can be, with gigantic number of people who are into it, with huge mountains of hentai and number 34 with it etc. Why does the real world bend over backwards to accommodate our weirdest fetishes? It's as if everything is going look, I created this for you. I made it real. In an effort to keep us within this world. The results of this are devastating to society, to people, to civilization. Simply put, are a thing because Anon fapped to dujins of cute boys in dresses. Once it was an impossible fantasy, not to be taken too seriously. Now it's grim reality. Again, it's as if the real world is using image boards as a template on what to be and what to do. Algorithm fiction. Do you like cape shit, Anon? How about other Hollywood stuff? Music perhaps? Have you noticed how sterile fiction has become? How it caters to the lowest common denominator and follows the same template over and over again? How music is just auto-tunes and basic blandness? The writer's strike never ended. Algorithms and computer programs are manufacturing modern fiction. No human being is behind these things. This is why anime looms so large. Even a simple mo anime has heart because there's actual people behind it, and we all intuitively feel this. Fake people. No, not NPCs. YouTube people who talk about this or that, and quite possibly many politicians, actors and so forth may not actually exist. In fact, I am sure of it. CGI and deepfakes are far more advanced than we are led to believe, and we can't trust our eyes anymore. Many people, events, news and so on may be wholly fictional. The internet on your smartphone is not the same internet as on your PC. Try it out for yourself. Go to a popular website with a lot of traffic. 4chan, Faceshit, Plebit. Any site with a massive user base and fast content will do. Spend a few days randomly checking it out on your PC and your phone. You will soon notice that from time to time, at irregular intervals, as far as I've witnessed, the same site as seen on your phone will be wholly different than the version on your PC. Entire threads, numerous and well replied, will be on one but not the other. The whole board will be different. My last suspicion is easier to take in. I have a feeling we're in a strange kind of civil war. An internal one. I think Zuckerberg and other tech guys were all on 4chan as anons at some point, maybe even now. They drew from the same well as us, but went in their own direction. Roughly in 2016 or early 2017. I am absolutely certain this was an AI of some sorts. Now you're thinking where I am too, Anon. Here's the timeline as best I can see it. 2004, DARPA's LifeLog project was cancelled. Facebook came into being soon after. 2004 to 2012, NSA picked up DARPA's project under the Total Informational Awareness Project. 2012, Smith-Mundt Modernization Act gives the U.S. government full legal authority to use propaganda against its own populace. Undoing rules put into place after Operation Mockingbird's discovery and the Church Committee. 2012 to 2016, shitons of DARPA/NSA contracts were given to Google, Facebook, Amazon, etc. 2016, leaked memos dating back to 2016, found in 2018, of Google's Selfish Ledger project. 2016, Google released a bunch of neuro-linguistic machine learning programs in 2016. 2017, deepfake leaks start to become released. 2018, Confirmed that for decades now, Reddit/YouTube/etc. vote and view counts are fake and completely manipulated. I think it's entirely obvious what I'm subtly suggesting here given this setup, but allow me to try to succinctly state my thesis here. The US government is engaging in an artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting of the entire world population. If China with its social credit score is recreating psychopaths, then the US government is perfectly recreating Metal Gear Solid 2. And an excerpt, The Problem, outline the basics of what appears to be happening. There is a large-scale, deliberate effort to manipulate culture and discourse online and in wider culture by utilizing a system of bots and paid employees whose job it is to produce content and respond to content online in order to further the agenda of those they are employed by. Already we've seen this in foreign nations influencing elections by manipulating advertising algorithms on social media in order to push specific candidates. As I see it is due to a positive feedback loop. I blame Facebook and Twitter. The internet is a fast way to get info, and info is what moves the mind, and the thing is, the mind likes recognition. When the likes were introduced without negative feedback they created a copy feedback subconscious, they made it so only positive opinions be propagated, also accepted, and in its way negative opinions to be obsolete. Now everyone is too cowardly to have an opinion so they copy others they like. They are more likely to follow trends and say what others said. You can also see it with the paranoia of always wanting to listen to experts. The fast feedback system of the net created a human obsession to be in with trends. Getting away from it makes it so you always feel like you are missing out. To play it safe in a trend is more easy as you can copy what already is accepted. In this way, the internet and social media, which was supposed to democratize media by allowing users to create whatever content they wanted, has instead been hijacked by a powerful few. Creation of original content is how the internet used to work. Anonymous people were willing to express their opinions and try radical or experimental things. More truly original content, uninfluenced by bots or paid influencers, was created due to anonymity as protection against negative feedback. On the old internet, you could start anew every time you posted something. Now add bots to this. Make it so an opinion be repeated more and more. They are faster than us, so the positive feedback makes us so we copy the bots, and anonymity can't do anything against it because we can't influence the bot like we would a human. This is an easy weapon to manipulate people, so anyone with an agenda can use a bot. Is designed in a way compared to how clickbaits are made, most won't read the content. This creates TV-like propaganda where they aren't influenced by the user and that puts bots at a great advantage over any other opinion because it won't change, and we are copying that. I believe Google is one of those that makes bots. After all, they work like a search engine, where they get the most accepted content first, is the same as doing an ad. These photos show a startup company by the name of Narrative Science, whose company will supposedly be used to write news and political articles. It is funded due in part by SAP and In-Q-Tel, the investment arm of the Central Intelligence Agency. In-Q-Tel invests in high-tech companies to keep the CIA and other intelligence agencies equipped with the latest technology. TLDR, the CIA owns software that creates narratives and writes news. This has been happening since at least 2010. Narrative Science was the name of one of the first companies to make this possible. It gets interesting when you follow the money. Pick related. Huge funding from a company called In-Q-Tel, literally named after Q from James Bond. I wonder if anything else AI related shares that name? Conclusion. The key points of what we know, the consequences, and how we might respond. Internet may have slipped out of our control. Need to raise public awareness of this. Possible solutions may be increased reliance on encrypted peer-to-peer communication software, or using less centralized networks like the idea of a peer-to-peer internet or meshnet. Image boards and their Wild West attitude have allowed for the free exchange of ideas to flow more or less uninhibited, barring Jennies, pedos getting banned, etc. As a result, conscious or otherwise, the cream of the crop of the content that originates here disseminates to the normies in a gradual, stratified way. The structure and culture of image boards has also made it difficult for traditional structures of power and influence to subvert effectively, which is why image boards are pretty much the only vestige of old web-type content. In an attempt to circumvent this, TPTB are trying to push bots and shills on us in a last-ditch effort to drown out our own voices with ones they have more direct control over. Moreover, even if the majority of anons dismiss or call out bots or shills, it's inevitable that trolls or just low IQ anons will imitate their posts and mannerisms for attention, effectively doubling these efforts' reach. There's a pretty powerful impulse in us which, when we hear something huge that could change our view of everything, rejects it to protect ourselves. No one wants to have their whole worldview, which they built a life upon, blown apart. One anon started up a text doc to compile information, for those of you who would like to do some reading up.
Really, bots are most likely a much smaller problem compared to algorithmic filter bubbles. If you like that, you'll love this. Think about it logically, what's more effective? 1. Bots spamming to derail conversation, divide and conquer on subject you don't want discussed. 2. Algorithmically shadow banning conversation on that subject so that almost no one ever actually sees it, and those who do are essentially trapped in their own bubble without access to the outside. Of course both are used and both can be effective in different situations, but I believe option 2 is far more widespread. For a metaphor, certain online games do a similar thing, like CSGO and Titanfall. Those players who get reported a lot for toxicity or cheating, instead of just being banned, are simply placed in a low trust factor K, so that they only meet other cheaters. There's no way to check your own trust factor, so as far as you know you might think things are normal and the game has just become worse, meanwhile you're separated from the regular players. In a similar way, meta meets space, algorithmically driven social media platforms lock you in a closed version of the site when you participate in discussion they don't want. We think of websites like Twitter as a single space, and they were that way once, but with modern AI dictating what you see, these places are more like independent patchworks of separate closed rooms. Rooms which you can't escape from, rooms which you don't even realize you're in. This makes you easier to surveil and control. Thanks to the GDPR, you can actually see what room you're in by requesting your data, but this only gives you a vague idea. You might think the goal of these rooms is to lock you in with only people similar to you, but in fact, the goal is to generate high-intensity emotional responses like outrage or humor. These emotional states make you more likely to stay on the site for longer, or interact with the site, allowing them to collect data. Therefore, in these rooms you are actually more likely to see things you disagree with, but only the very surface of them. You will not have to actually face a detailed counterpoint to your argument, only a brief and incomplete summary maximizing for high-intensity emotion and minimizing for coherent logic. Twitter does this by imposing a strict character limit. It is physically impossible to discuss complex ideas in such a short space, so conversations naturally devolve into insults and shock value. Reddit enforces this via pseudo-democratic upvote-downvote system, which is a little more subtle than Twitter's heavy-handed approach. The posts with the most upvotes go to the top, and thus get seen the most. Site-wide upvotes even contribute to an RPG-like XP system linked to your single identity account on the site. It is clear that the goal of this game is to make the number go up. This voting system discourages controversial posts. Imagine 2 posts. One gets 100 total votes, 50-50 upvote downvote, this cancels out and is equal to 0. Then another post gets 1 upvote, it is now above the first one, even though the original post had far more interaction and discussion. So, in order to maximize upvotes, you have to say the most commonly agreeable things, appeal to the lowest common denominator as it were. In this way, controversial or challenging discussion is avoided. Neither of these examples even account for those sites' algorithms, selecting which retweets actually show up on your feed for example. The result could be called a type of dead internet, because really, you never even get to the internet, you are trapped in your room. If you like that, you'll love this. The internet may as well be empty.